plucked right out of the comments section and served up fresh to you. What is a pro wrestling producer, and how do you get that job? It's next. I'm Mike Quackenbush, and this is Till We Make It. Throughout my career, I've been very fortunate because I've worked in front of the cameras as a pro wrestler, referee, ring announcer, and a commentator too. And I have also worked behind the scenes in wrestling as a promoter, booker, coach, consultant, and an agent. That last one is especially relevant to today's video because the job of being a pro wrestling agent, or what the WWE calls a producer, this same job at AEW is called a coach, is the main topic of today's video. And these videos, everything you see here on the Till We Make It channel, it's possible thanks to these awesome folks, my patrons. Without their continued patronage, this just isn't possible as a long-term project. And over on my Patreon, I've recently made several of my exclusive posts available to the public to give you a sneak peek into the exact kind of thing I'm constantly creating over there for my patrons. So follow the link down below in the descriptus and you can check out some of those public posts and get a glimpse into what's happening over there. If you want to join us, not only will you unlock 300 plus posts, but you'll get instant access to our Discord conversation as well. Memberships are for as little as $5 a month. Okay, let's dive in. So how did the job of agenting or producing a pro wrestling match even originate? Well, important to note, there have been 4 eras of pro wrestling. The Carnival era, the Territory era, the Cable TV era, and the era that we're in right now, the social media era. But prior to the Cable TV era, so much of the training for the job of being a professional wrestler was on-the-job training. It was done live in the ring in front of an audience. A young rookie would be paired with an old grizzled veteran to learn all the tricks of the trade. But as the Cable TV era wore on, there was an increased emphasis on featuring young talent on TV. And the older, more seasoned veterans often did not appear on television. They were used to help the young talent organize their matches in a backstage capacity. They would make sure that it was a coherent 3 acts. They would edit out any bad ideas before the match was sent to the ring. The veterans had a bit of a retirement plan in that they could transition into being an agent or producer backstage and helping develop the young talent who were often now just being paired against each other. They weren't being given that in-ring experience of working and basically experiencing the tutelage of a seasoned veteran of the game. That's just the seed though. What did it grow into? These days, if you're a backstage producer, you'll be on hand hours before the call time for the wrestlers. You're going to participate in writers' rooms and creative sessions so that you understand the goals of a particular episode of TV or a certain segment. And the job of the producer is to make sure the in-ring talent accomplishes the goals of that segment or that episode of TV. For example, if 3 minutes of television are blocked out specifically for a performer to showcase their new gimmick to the crowd and get it over, well, then it's the responsibility of the agent producing that segment to help choose the right material to accomplish that goal. And if a new character doesn't get over, guess who's going to be in trouble for that? The producer. It is also the role of the producer or agent to revise or course correct their segments to fit the needs of the live show in real time. Here's what I mean. If one segment runs long, and this means that another must be truncated as a result, it's the producer who executes on that. If a segment is being yanked off of the lineup, well, guess who delivers that bad news to the wrestlers? The agent does. Now, in theory, this job probably sounds a bit challenging, but relatively straightforward. And it can be, provided the talent you are working with can follow directions and always do what they are asked to do. And therein lies the rub, my friend. I know firsthand exactly how challenging this job can be. Oftentimes, the talent likes to believe that they have better ideas than the team of people who write and structure the events. And this is usually because They can only see their segment of the show in isolation, removed from the larger context of the whole. And so they don't have the context for understanding the domino effect or the impact it might have on the ensemble or the lineup at large if they want to change something about their segment. And when they do, guess who needs to carry that request back to the creative team? It's the producer or agent, and vice versa as well. When a last-minute creative change is made, like the finish to the match that's about to go to the ring is being altered, well, guess who has to scramble and make sure that message is received in time so the segment goes out with the new marching orders? That's also the producer or agent who does that. Being a producer means you are perpetually stuck between a rock and a hard place, or I suppose I should have said a rock and a hard place. But you know what? In some extreme cases, that could mean the rock and a hard place as well. That's totally possible here. Once the match or the segment actually goes to the ring, it's the producer who is on the headsets communicating with the camera operators, the television truck, the referee, exactly what the goals of the segment are. For example, if the purpose of a segment is to pick up on the dirty looks one tag team partner is giving to another to foreshadow their upcoming turn, well, it's important that the camera operators know to focus on getting those exact shots. And if a really key turning point in their story is about to occur as a commercial break is coming up, it's up to the producer to relay that information to the referee, and in turn, it gets to the wrestlers so they don't end up running a featured point while no one is watching. Are you learning something from today's video? Leave me a like-a-palooza. And if you'd subscribe too, I would really appreciate it. A well-prepared producer might have all of their matches and segments done, perfectly lined up before the card begins. But once an event is live, anything can go wrong. Maybe match number 2 ends with an O'Connor roll, and the producer realizes they just approved an O'Connor roll finish for match number 5. Well, sounds like the finish to match number 5 needs to change now. Guess who's going to do that? The backstage agent. And even while changing and revising these very small details, they constantly have to keep in mind the high-level objectives and goals of the show overall. Needless to say, a producer has to have a lot of pro wrestling experience on their resume. They have to have quick problem-solving skills, and they've also got to be adept at dealing with all personality types, especially under pressure. And because the producer, the agent, is perpetually in that middleman position, they are easy to blame when things go wrong, even if it is the talent failing the objectives in the ring, or even when it is unclear direction from creative. In both of those cases, the person in the hot seat is the agent. So how does someone become a backstage producer or agent in pro wrestling? Well, generally speaking, these jobs go to people with long, distinguished in-ring careers performing all over the globe. And they've probably also got a little bit of a creative background. They've booked some angles, maybe they've promoted their own series of shows before they ascend into the role of producer or agent. To be clear, this is not an entry-level position. You will not interview for a job like this on day 1 of working in the wrestling industry. If your brain craves even more knowledge about the underlying structure of wrestling matches, promos, angles, then feed it 7 Keys to Becoming a Better Performer, a book I wrote for fellow pro wrestlers. It's over at Amazon.com, and the audiobook is up on Audible. I will read it to you myself.